I'm celebrating my 54th birthday, and I thought that this would be a good time for us to have a little Q&A chat. And I am going to be answering some of your questions, including what has been my scariest cruise experience. And of course, I'm also going to be sharing my next cruise reveal. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to be answering lots of questions that many of you had. Some of them have to do with cruise lines. And by the way, I have a couple of questions that I'm going to need your help for, please, because they have to do with advice that people want. And I think your contributions are going to be helpful. I'm also going to be answering some cruise port questions, as well as some personal and business or blog vlog questions. And I have an upcoming cruise. It probably is one that you might not expect, but I am going to be sharing that with you as well. Now, if you watch my videos already, you know where this is going. Before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Okay, and by the way, funny enough, that let's get started, if there's ever a time where I don't say it, sometimes I forget to in my videos, people do call me out on that. And just to let you know, that is something that just sort of happened about 3 years ago when I was making a video, and it just sort of stuck. Okay, let's start with a little bit of a juicy cruise question. When I cruise multiple times a year, as I have the last couple of years, do I ever get bored with the same ports or the same ship activities? Now, I wish I could say that that does not happen, but it's not true. I actually do get a little bit bored with some of the ports, and I think it happens to anybody who's cruised to the same port again and again, even if it's over like a longer time span. I'll be honest, like Nassau, Bahamas, I have to find something new to do there. So let me know any recommendations you have, if you have any, because honestly, the last couple of times that we've been there, I didn't even get off the cruise ship other than like to take a photo and to walk around the port and to get back on. But I'd love to be able to do different things in the ports of call. When it comes to the ship activities, I always do find new things to do. But I have to be honest, when it comes to the shows, sometimes I go and I really enjoy them. But I have this thing, and I've always had it, it's a little bit funny, but when it comes to the production shows, across many different cruise lines, unless there's a lot of action going on or maybe some audience interaction, like for instance, Choir of Men on NCL, that was really good to me. But otherwise, I tend to fall asleep a little bit when I go to the theater. I think it has to do with being in the front of the ship, like the forward, and it kind of rocks just a little bit. But that's just the reality for me. All right, moving on to something more practical. When it comes to cruise ship shore excursions or shore excursions in general, do I recommend waiting until you're on the ship, booking it in port, or in advance? And by the way, this is somebody who's a newer cruiser who is asking. So I definitely recommend booking your excursions before you get on the cruise ship. In particular, if you either don't know what you want to do, or if you really want to do something in particular, and at the very least, do a little bit of research. Now, you can definitely book it with a cruise line. I think that that is actually the easiest way to do it. It's sort of a no-brainer, but sometimes the excursions are hit or miss. Sometimes they can just be a large group, which is why, and by the way, this video is not sponsored, but which is why I often do use Shore Excursions Group. They are an independent tour provider. I will leave their link if that is interesting to you. I will leave it down in the description below this video, but you can actually just put in your cruise that you're taking and the date, and it will have many different suggestions for shore excursions. And you'll see that the price is often less than with the cruise line. And the benefit to me is the fact that it is smaller groups. But you do want to make sure that you see the meeting point and that that works for you for your cruise. Solo cruisers, do I have any tips? Now, this is a little bit hard because I think the reality is that most cruise lines are pricing their cabins for double occupancy. However, if you are cruising a little bit off season or when that cruise ship isn't filling up completely, sometimes you can find a little bit of a better deal. Now, Norwegian Cruise Line, I think that they are really good when it comes to their solo cabin program, and you're definitely going to find some better rates, and you can find that right on their website, or you can contact a travel agent or your travel agent. Now, the other cruise line, interestingly enough, is Explora Journeys, and I haven't sailed with them yet, but I was looking for some things on their website, and I had noticed that their solo cruise rate is actually very favorable. So it's a luxury cruise experience. They're not cheap, but you're not going to pay, at least on the cruises that I was looking at, you're not going to pay double occupancy. Now, beyond that, I think Virgin Voyages sometimes has some good rates for solo cruisers. And anybody who does cruise solo, please leave your tips, tricks, anything that's worked for you down below in the comments. I know that's going to be super helpful. What has been my favorite cruise that I have ever done? Ever is a really long time. We've been cruising since 2004. But I will tell you, actually, my two kind of top cruises, actually, I just realized there's something really in common with them. So back in, I think it must have been like 2014, we did an 11-day or 12-day cruise with Royal Caribbean. That was the Mediterranean, leaving from Barcelona, coming back to Barcelona, and doing many like historic ports, you know, including Rome and, you know, Florence and Athens. In any case, amazing cruise, amazing itinerary. And just recently we did a cruise on Virgin Voyages, and it was such an incredible itinerary. And I do realize that when it comes to the Mediterranean, I'm very itinerary focused. I like the experience on Virgin Voyages, the ship as well. But truthfully, it was the itinerary for me. We were in La Spezia overnight, and from La Spezia, Italy, you can go to Florence if you want. You can go to Pisa if you want. You can go to Cinque Terre. So you have a lot of different places you could go. And a lot of the days were really long in port. So when it comes to cruise travel experience, that definitely is high on my list. And the other one that I loved, I just came back from a princess cruise in Alaska on Discovery Princess. And maybe it's because it was so recent. It honestly, it will probably remain my most memorable for a long time. Can you bring drinks back to the cruise ship when you're in a port of call? Yes and no. When it comes to non-alcoholic drinks, in our experience, if you pick up, you know, a bottle of Fanta or a bottle of Coke, you're not going to have a problem bringing that on. If you bring alcohol, though, most of the time, the cruise ship is going to hold that. They'll have a little desk when you do enter after security, and they'll take that away and they'll give that back to you at the end of the cruise. I've never tried to bring larger quantities of drinks onto the cruise ship, so I think that that might not be allowed. But again, anybody who has experience with this, please let us know down in the comments. Now, I am going to soon share with you, I have two experiences that were actually very scary for me on a cruise, so I am going to share that soon. But first, I did want to share something that had been like in the cruise news about a month ago. And this is Princess, the one drink at a time rule. And by the way, if you watch my recent Princess video about the Alaska cruise, I do address that a little bit in the video as well in terms of our own experience. But what do I think of it? I had no problem with it at all. And maybe when the news first came out in the first week, maybe the crew were getting used to it or something. But it really does seem like the reaction to it was super overblown, because not only for me, but for anybody that I met on the cruise, this was not an issue. We definitely ordered more than one drink at a time. And when I say that, I mean a drink for me, a drink for my son Ethan. We even had like other people sometimes that we were picking up a couple of drinks from. We did need to know their cabin number, and I guess they needed to see that maybe they were there in the vicinity or something. And I think that that's because they are trying to curb abuse. And again, I didn't try to get like 2 Aperol Spritz at a time, but I did definitely order, like the waiter came over, I ordered an Aperol Spritz. He came back again a few minutes later. I ordered another one knowing that I wouldn't drink it until after, but it takes a little while. And I had no problem getting that at all. And again, Ethan went and picked up coffee for, you know, the 3 of us. Never an issue at all. All right. Now, I did let you know that I just turned 54. So I have a question from somebody who's also around my age. And what they said is, does what I look for in a cruise in terms of value, is it different now than it would have been like 10 or 20 years ago? And I think yes and no. I am always looking at value of experience, but for whatever phase of life that I'm in. So honestly, when we started cruising back in 2004, we started with Royal Caribbean and then with Princess and then with NCL, and we did Carnival, and you know, we did Celebrity. We kind of moved along like that, and we always flipped a little bit back and forth, but we used to get an inside cabin for all of us. And that's because at the time, my priority was being on that cruise ship and just having the experience on the cruise, all of the different things. I would have rather pay money for excursions and experiences than pay money for a place for us to sleep, because the kids were honestly, they were like up and out of the bed by like 7 a.m. So I was like never in my cabin. And, you know, as times changed, I started to enjoy a balcony cabin. And there is that thing that they say that once you go balcony, it's very hard to go back. And I definitely do agree with that. Now, beyond that, in terms of experience, I definitely do value service more than I value, you know, the bells and whistles on a cruise ship, which is why I generally tend to lean either towards a mid-size or not mega cruise ship, or even a ship within a ship experience, again, if I can afford it. Now, here's a little bit of an interesting question. It is, why don't more mainstream cruise ships come into Montreal and Quebec City and sail from there? So this is a little bit interesting because I did used to work years ago as a cruise travel agent, like very, very part-time. And this was something that I found out when we did a ship visit to a cruise ship that was in the port of Montreal. So the bridge in Montreal, it might be called the Jacques Cartier Bridge. I hope I didn't misspeak. If I did, I'll put it in, you know, I'll write it in here. But the bridge is actually quite low. So only the smaller ships actually can fit. So you do have Holland America, which does have one of their older, smaller ships, and they do a cruise that goes from Montreal, Boston, Boston, Montreal, a really beautiful Canada, New England itinerary. So if you're looking for itinerary, I definitely can suggest this. This is mainstream. It often is very well priced, by the way, so you might want to look into this. And otherwise, you have, you know, the smaller ships that do tend to be luxury cruise ships. And that's just because, you know, small ships, luxury, that often does go together, because big ships equal economies of scale, which oftentimes means that they will be cheaper. Now, in terms of Quebec City, they can actually accommodate larger cruise ships. They have the Queen Mary 2 that sails in. They have Disney cruise ships that sail in. They have, you know, some of the bigger cruise ships that do sail in, but I believe that they only allow, it might be 2 cruise ships a day. They definitely have a limit, but you will see Princess cruises that sail to Quebec City and do the Canada, New England route. You're going to see Norwegian Cruise Line as well. Oh, and by the way, we are going to talk about a couple of things, including weight, including what my husband does. But first, let's talk about somebody's dilemma, and they need a recommendation for a cruise. Now, this is somebody who's cruised with Carnival before, and they are looking to have a bit of a calmer experience for their next cruise. They've loved Carnival, so they still want a cruise line that has activities, but a little bit of a calmer experience. And they are debating between Celebrity and Princess. Now, my first instinct, I was thinking about both of these, and I was thinking that Princess has not a close experience to Carnival, but I do find that they have like craft activities during the day. They have stuff going on in the piazza or, you know, the atrium. And I do feel like Princess is lively that way. And Celebrity, while beautiful and wonderful, and they have some great activities to do, I feel like the atmosphere is a little bit more subdued, a little bit more, I would say a little bit more upscale, if I'm being honest with you, at least on their newer ships. Neither is bad. I think they're both good experiences, but I think that maybe if you've loved Carnival before, that Princess might be that little kind of step up towards a more like adult experience. But everybody weigh in down in the comments below. Do any cruise lines other than Princess have self-service laundry? So yes, some have self-service laundry, but honestly, not that many, and not that many newer cruise ships. That is one of the things that I like about Princess, by the way. But Carnival, on, I believe, their ships up until their newer ships like Celebration, Jubilee, and Mardi Gras, they don't have self-service laundry, but the other ships do. Holland America, a lot of their older ships do. So up until their Pinnacle class cruise ships, Royal Caribbean and Celebrity don't. And some of the luxury cruise lines actually do have self-service laundry, and they will even provide laundry soap for free. Do I have links to my dresses? I get that comment all the time. So any of the links that I have to my dresses, I'm gonna actually list that down in the description below this video. And I do have a blog post. I really do have to update this, but oftentimes you are going to find my dresses like in any videos where it's like Amazon Summer Essentials or something like that. I'm going to always put the new addresses that I have there, but I will leave those maybe even in a pinned comment. Okay, we've got another question where I need your input and advice. So we've got a couple. They're celebrating their anniversary. It is their first cruise, and they want to know what is the best itinerary for them, and should they do a short cruise or a longer cruise. So my personal advice is 7 days or more, but I think 7 days is a good amount for a first cruise. This gives enough time to see how you like it. I think choosing the cruise ship is really important for experience. And they did ask, should it maybe be Alaska? So I think that that really depends. What kind of experience do you like to have? If you want to have a little bit of an adventurous experience, and if you want to get away from the heat, Alaska is a great one. If you love beach vacations and that sort of vibe, then I would definitely go Caribbean. If you love sightseeing and history, then personally I would go Mediterranean. And those are my 3 top suggestions. But everybody weigh in down in the comments below. What do you recommend for a 50+ couple celebrating their anniversary and their first cruise? What is my favorite private island and why? Now, I actually have 2 favorite private islands, and I had to think about this. So one of them is actually Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And the reason is I think that they just did a phenomenal job on this. They've got the lagoon pool. I really like that. I've never gone to the adult only beach club, so I can't say how good that is, but I've actually heard good things. But I think it's just such a great family private island. You've got lots of family activities. You've got the water park if you want to pay extra for it, but a lot of things that are included as well. And truthfully, when it comes to the food, I think that they've just done a really good job with that private island. But the other private island is the total opposite, and I really just love Half Moon Cay. I just think it's probably right now the most beautiful. I also like MSC's Ocean Cay. It's not that I don't, but somehow, I don't know, Half Moon Cay, I think it's just so picturesque, so pretty, and I really like that one. And I'm actually looking forward to just those little fix-ups that I think that they are going to be doing. The only thing I think that could be improved is maybe their buffet. Okay, so what is the scariest thing that I have ever done or experienced on a cruise? Now, I have 2 things. One of them was years ago, I did an excursion with my 2 boys and Frank, and we went to St. Martin, and I actually booked this excursion, and it was swimming with stingrays. We had done it before, Frank and I. It was a really good experience, but I was saving money by doing it privately. I did that, and truthfully, it was a rainy day. Well, it wasn't raining when we first started out, but it was gloomy, and it looked like it was going to rain. Once we were out, it was raining. It lightened, and I was honestly very afraid. I was not happy, and when I even asked the captain of the boat if we were going to turn back where the life jackets were, he was like laughing at me. It was such a terrible experience, and I did not book private excursions for years because of that. The second scariest cruise experience, and honestly, this pales in comparison because I was genuinely not happy with that one. But the other one has been recent. It was when we were on MSC World America, and I went on the cliffhanger, and I don't love heights, and I pretty much don't love anything that I feel like maybe I could die on. And that was the feeling I had when I was on the cliffhanger. It was so much worse than I expected. Even I had done the Bolt on Carnival Celebration. That's the roller coaster at sea. I did that. It was so much scarier than that, at least for me. I don't think I will ever do it again, but it was very cool. Like, the view was amazing, but truthfully, I kept thinking about, even though it was just a few seconds long, I thought of all of the things that could go wrong, so it was not worth it to me. Okay, so let's move on to some business and personal questions, and then I am going to be sharing with you my next cruise. And again, I think many of you are going to be surprised. In any case, so when did I get started blogging and, with my videos and that kind of thing, and what background did I have? So I used to be an early childhood educator, did that for years. That's where my education is, and I really loved doing that. But the truth is that there was no room for me to move up and do anything different. There was no way for me to even get paid any more money. So, even if you felt ambitious, it was one of the flaws, honestly, of that job. And I think it's the same even for nursing. Sometimes there's just no room to move up or even to feel challenged. That's just a reality. But I did work part-time as a travel agent selling cruises. I did it like on Saturdays, and I used to work 4 days a week. So on my day off, I just enjoyed it. I even enjoyed, wearing clothes that weren't like daycare or preschool clothes. So I did that. And then on a little bit of a whim in 2018, I was on a cruise and I said to my friend who was with me, I said, I think I'm going to start a cruise blog. And she's like, yeah, you're going to start a cruise blog. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start a cruise blog. And I did. And I just got into it. And I really didn't think that it would be anything. I thought maybe I might make a little bit of money. Maybe. I wasn't even sure. But I actually did take a couple of courses, and then I realized, yeah, I could actually make a little business out of this. I only expected this in my hopes and dreams to be something part-time, a little bit of a side hustle, nothing more than that. And just somehow, you know, the timing of it, and I guess the fact that we are in a time now where social media, it is really a way that people can make money, content creation, monetizing through the internet, advertisements, etc. That is a genuine way that people make money now that really wasn't around at least as much 10 years ago. So I learned, I did, it worked out for me. And maybe this is a little bit of advice that I have for anybody, and not about social media, by the way, you know, obviously it could apply, but for anything, if there is something that you're passionate about, that you just want to learn, I just think people should put one foot in front of the other. Just one step leads you to the next step, and you just never know what could happen. What does my husband do so that he can be as flexible as he is to join me on cruises? Well, he actually works with me. So Frank is very much behind the scenes. So he is the person that right now, as I film this video, he is editing our Princess Alaska video. And as soon as I finish this video, he'll probably edit this tonight and tomorrow morning. So he's actually super busy doing this. And my son, Ethan, as well, does a lot of the short form putting things together. He also writes for our website. So I have lifewellcruise.com, where we share cruise information, packing lists, cruise tips, etc. So he writes some of those articles. We also have a couple of writers that work with us. And so he sort of manages them as well. And by the way, this job is a complete dream. Now, I won't say that I don't work hard, because especially when we're not on a cruise, my days are so long. I pretty much don't even see anybody. Maybe it's not good that I have no balance right now. But I think there are seasons like that. But this is an absolute dream. I used to say about 3 or 4 years ago, I just wish I could cruise more, and you know, even 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm getting to be able to do that, with my family. And honestly, even having flexibility of, you know, being my own boss. And it definitely is something I enjoy. All right, let's talk weight and keeping fit. So what do I do to keep fit at 54 years old? I do not do much, because I am not as fit as I would like, to be perfectly honest. So truthfully, in the past, when I would have, you know, a couple of cruises that I would do a year, and we worked hard even to do those couple of cruises a year, what I used to do is, leading up to the cruise, I would like lose weight before the cruise, be more careful, and then I would maybe gain a little bit of weight on the cruise, eat whatever I wanted. It definitely was a little bit of a pleasure for me. And then get home and I would sort of, for lack of a better word, diet again, or try to go back to regular. And definitely cruising more often, it makes it more challenging. And, you know, that is definitely something that is up to me. I probably should just eat a little bit less on cruises. The one thing that I think is good is we definitely move a lot when we're on cruises. We take the stairs, we walk a lot. Cruise ships, you know, there's a lot of space to walk. We walk in ports. So we definitely walk wherever we can. So maybe that helps a little bit. But, you know, the truth is, like a lot of people that are in their 50s, it's harder to lose weight. So that's kind of a little bit of a challenge that I'm having right now. And if anybody has any tips, I'm absolutely willing to hear. So please let me know down in the comments below. All right, so what is my next cruise? Well, we are going to be sailing on Carnival Vista for a very special sailing. We are going to be among the first guests to visit Celebration Key, which is Carnival's new private island. So what I'm going to be doing while I'm there is Frank and I are probably going to, you know, take a video of it, and we're going to share, by the way, you know, like what we see. We're going to share all of the included food. I actually have Ethan right now researching the private island a little bit more so that I can know where I should go the quickest. I'm pretty excited to see this private island, and I'll be sharing that in articles on social media. and of course in a YouTube video coming up. Now, by the way, for anybody who's wondering, we sailed on Carnival Celebration in November. I think it was around Thanksgiving, and it was a really good experience. Carnival, you know, they are getting a little bit of a bad rap right now. And, you know, sometimes it just happens like that. That's the way social media and stuff works. But truly, we were pretty impressed with the food, the service of the crew, and honestly, the other guests, despite what you see in 30-second TikTok videos. And I don't question that that's the reality on some cruise ships. But on Carnival Celebration, we just didn't find that to be the case. The other guests were very nice. We had no issues at all. And while it's a very fun ship, we definitely saw a lot of matching fun cruise t-shirts, a lot of duck hiding, and even a lot of line dancing. While it is all of that, and it is not for everybody, I didn't find it to be like trashy at all. There were a lot of really nice people on board. But do let me know if you sail Carnival, if you've sailed Carnival in the past, if you think you might be going to Celebration Key in the future, either yourself or maybe with grandkids in the future. Please do let me know down in the comments below. And just something to mention is Carnival did invite us on this sailing. However, as I mentioned, Carnival Celebration, that was something we did on our own. So this is really something that I do feel like I have a bit of a philosophy. If I am asked, it is an opportunity, and I never know when that opportunity is going to come again, so I definitely go. Now, I really did enjoy chatting with you. Please let me know any other questions that you have down in the comments below, and let me know any questions that you have about Carnival or Celebration Key as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.